superhero today? Good. I don't want to say that Matt's a prophet or anything. What's that? But based on the back logo there, you might think it might have something to do with superheroes. Message for today. This is actually going to be the last of the series, spiritual superhero series. So for those of you who were able to hear the first three, this will be the last segment of that. Before I get started, though, I do want to apologize for running a little bit late. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the message really short today. Sinners, repent. If you're not sinning, they need to repent and stop lying, or you can help people who are sinning.
Come on, bro.
And you got to mercy your souls. Let's have to look. Actually, another thing, too, I want to wish someone here, actually, a happy spiritual birthday, actually, a week ago.
Hey!
And the reason why I know that is because 1 week later, I got baptized. Today's my spiritual birthday. So, I just want to get that out of the way too. So, I get to preach on my spiritual birthday, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
Amen.
Alright, so part 4, how to become a spiritual superhero. The first 3 messages that we did, one was, man, that was probably 2.5 years ago, choosing to be chosen. And then the second one we did was reach out and touch someone. And the third one, we talked about Satan, the ultimate supervillain. This week, we're going to talk about the spiritual superhero creed, which I don't know if you can read that or not. It's kind of low. Actually, did you guys pass out the Romans 12? Okay, so you guys all have the sheet. What I want to do is I want to go through, this is Romans 12 from the New Living Translation. And I absolutely love this chapter of the Bible. I read it almost every single week. And the reason why I do that is because I really feel like it's a message. I feel like it's Paul kind of giving instructions on how to become a spiritual superhero and how to stay one. And it covers a lot of really great points, and I want to hit on those this week. The first point I want to make is, are you willing to be transformed? So let's go ahead and read the first paragraph here. It says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind that He will accept. When you think of what He has done for you, is this too much to ask? Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will know what God wants you to do, and you will know how good and pleasing His perfect, His will really is." I could spend an entire hour on this paragraph alone. The reason why I say that is because transforming the way you think is key to changing any institution. Whether you want to change your school, whether you want to change, just yourself, whether you want to change your family, whether you want to change any major aspect of your life, you have to be transformed in the way that you think. Because if you keep doing the same old, everything's going to keep going the same direction, right? So there's actually, I have a couple of video clips I want to show. I am a huge superhero buff. My two of my favorite movies came out in the past few years, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and Iron Man. And I want to show a clip from Batman Begins, and I want to show a clip from Iron Man, kind of showing how the characters, Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne, how they changed their mindset and what they changed their mindset to change their world around them. That's not very loud, is it? And now look what I did. I'm broken.
You know the words.
That's sad, true, believe it or not. Okay, hang on. Let's see if this works. There we go. Sorry, hopefully it'll be loud enough for you.
Master Wayne, you've been gone a long time.
Yes, I have.
You look very fashionable. Apart from the battle. Are you coming back to Gotham for long, son?
As long as it takes. I'm going to show the people of Gotham their city doesn't belong to the criminals and the corrupt.
In the Depression, your father nearly bankrupted Wayne Enterprises combating poverty. He believed that
would it be alright if everyone sat down? Why don't you just sit down? That way you can see me and a little less formally. I never got to say goodbye to Dad. I never got to say goodbye to my father. There's questions that I would ask him. I would ask him how he felt about what this company did. If he was conflicted, if he ever had doubts. Or maybe he was every inch the man we all remember from the newsreels. I saw young Americans killed by the very weapons I created to defend them and protect them. And I saw that I had become part of a system that is comfortable with zero accountability.
Just what happened over there?
I have my eyes open. I came to realize that I have more to offer this world than just making things to blow up. And that is why, effective immediately, I am shutting down the weapons manufacturing business until such a time as I can decide what the future of this company will be, what direction it should take, one that I'm comfortable with and is consistent with the highest good for this country as well.
What we should take away from this is that Tony's back, and he's healthier than ever.
Hey, you busy manifesting down here? I need you to go to my office. You're gonna hack into the mainframe. You're gonna retrieve all the recent shipping manifests. This is a lot, Chip. This will get you in. It's probably under executive files. If not, they put it on a ghost drive, in which case you need to look for the lowest numeric heading.
And what do you plan to do with this information if I bring it back here?
Same drawer. They've been dealing under the table. I'm gonna stop them. I'm gonna find my weapons and destroy them.
Tony, you know that I would help you with anything, but I cannot help you if you're going to start all of this again.
There is nothing except this. There's no art opening. There is no benefit. There is nothing to sign. There is the next mission and nothing else.
That's so. Well, then I quit.
You stood by my side all these years while I reaped the benefits of destruction. And now that I'm trying to protect the people that I put in harm's way, you're going to walk out.
You're going to kill yourself, Tony. I'm not going to be a part of it.
I shouldn't be alive. Unless it was for a reason. I'm not crazy, Pepper. I just finally know what I have to do. And I know in my heart that it's right.
So, you know, the reason why I like those movies a lot is it has a lot to do with, I love origin stories in a lot of different comic movies. I know a lot of people don't really care for those, but I like to see the transformation from the person, the people they are before, to the people they become after they decide to step forward and be a hero, because there's, just to see the contrast between the two characters. And there's not much of a jump, and usually I don't really care for a movie that much, but if there's something like an Iron Man or Batman where you can see these huge differences where, you know, they both make the decision, both characters decide to change their world as, you know, as much as they can. And really, for some instances, they kind of forego their own personal lives to become these characters, basically. It's all metaphorical for things that basically they dedicate their lives to changing their world. And, you know, one of the things here it talks about in that first paragraph, it says, you know, when you think of what God is, what He's done for you, is this too much to ask? And you think about how we react as disciples very much in the way that we feel like, you know, out of our gratitude for what God has done for us. I mean, if we feel like we've been forgiven of a lot, maybe some of us have done some really terrible things in our lives. If we feel like we've been forgiven of a lot, we're willing to step even farther to actually what we're going to see here is that Paul, in this particular chapter, what he does first is he kind of qualifies his audience, right? He starts talking to the hero. He's like talking about transforming your mind and the way you think and becoming this hero type, right? Then now he's going to start here and he's going to actually progress down this line on how we're supposed to handle all of these people, how we should live our lives in accordance with those people in this one chapter. Going on, it says here, as God's messenger, I give each of you this warning. Be honest with your estimate of yourselves, measuring your value by how much faith God has given you. Just as your bodies have many parts, and each part has a special function, so it is with Christ's body. We are all parts of his one body, and each of us has different work to do. And since we are all one body in Christ, we belong to each other, and each of us needs all the others. So here he's talking about how important every Christian is to this body. Even the weakest, most struggling, most not coming to Bible talks, not coming down to Indy for Sunday services, where every single person is important. God and Paul both know that every person in this category is needed to make a difference. Christianity is never meant to be a one-person religion. We hear people say all the time, like, oh, my relationship with God is between me and God, and I don't really think I need to go to church. Read Hebrews 10:23. They don't get the picture. They don't understand, because if it's just you and God, then who are you helping on the spectrum? It's just you. And that is not what God calls us to do. And God knows we can't do it alone. Right. So we need each other, and we need every single person. The most struggling person needs the strongest person to help out. And the person who is the strongest needs the weakest person to be there for support as well. Right. So, but as disciples, what we offer the world in one sense is relationships. It's having your spiritual needs met, because a lot of people don't get that, where they're going. Before I came to this church 11 years ago, today, no, I said wow for about a month, sorry. But 11 years ago, I was going to a Baptist church, and there was I was there for over a year and a half, and I can't think of one adult who ever actually asked me my name besides the pastor. I was hanging out with the teens. I was one of those guys who wore like all black, had the trench coat going, like, rain or surely or shine. And so, and I wasn't even a teenager. I was 20 at the time. So I'm hanging out with these kids, and not once did a parent ever ask me, okay, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Nothing. Really what I was looking for is I was looking for answers. I was looking for God, but nobody was helping me to find him. And I didn't find those relationships really until I came here. Even the one relationship I had at my other church, it pretty much fizzled. I mean, he only wanted to play basketball after the service, and that was pretty much it. But that is what one of the things that we bring to the table when we go out there. When you want to make a difference, you gotta think, how can we help all these people, even down to the villains? And we'll get to that in a minute. But how do we help all these people, all these bystanders, for the lack of a better term, right? Part of the thing is you have to get a plan together. Come up in your head. This is something that you guys can do as a ministry. Come up with real goals. If I were to come in and ask, what do you want to do for God? Oh, I want to save my campus. I want to have a great year. What does that mean? Ask yourself, what does that mean? Because if you can write down your goals, man, maybe you know of like some injustice that's going on here at the campus. Maybe you know something. You see a lot of pain. Maybe you see a lot of maybe you're in the dorms. Maybe you just want to reach out to as many people as you can in your dorms. Getting a clear plan together and going after those things with a plan and having marketable goals. Man, I'm moving towards this goal. You can actually make a huge difference on this campus. But if you just want to have make a big difference, but you don't want to change, you don't want to transform the way you think, then you're not going to have any bigger difference, any bigger impact than what you had before you came. So, moving on, it says, moving down the scale, says God has given each of us the ability to do certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out when you have faith that God is speaking through you. If your gift is that of serving others, serve them well. If you're a teacher, do a good job of teaching. If your gift is encouraging others, do it. If you have money, share it generously. If God has given you the leadership ability. Take the responsibility seriously. And if you have a gift for showing kindness to others, do it gladly. Now he starts. So what do you think Paul's talking about here in the realm of superheroes, right? What does it sound like?
Superpowers.
Superpowers, right? What's a superhero without superpowers? I mean, come on, guys, we're heroes. We got to do this. But we each have unique gifts. We each have unique abilities that we bring to the table that can be used to help to benefit the people on this bar, to bring them on board and get them over to this side. If maybe you don't know what your spiritual gift is. Maybe you're having a hard time reconciling, how do I use my gift for God? Well, ask around. Ask your brothers and sisters. Ask other people in the ministry. Ask people in Indy. Talk to the church leaders, whatever. Be like, man, I've got this ability. How can I use this for God? And then that can be your first step towards putting together your plan to make a really huge difference. Going on, it says, don't just pretend that you love others. Really love them. Hate what is wrong. Stand on the side of good. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. Never be lazy in your work, but serve the Lord enthusiastically. Be glad for all God's planning for you. Be patient in trouble and always be prayerful. When God's children are in need, be the one to help them out. And get in the habit of inviting guests home for dinner if they need lodging for the night. Now here, Paul's starting to move his way from here to down. You can kind of see what he's talking about here. He's talking about, one of the things, honestly, he says, he uses some pretty strong language here, but he says, don't just pretend that you love others. Really love them. And that's something you really got to stop for a second and think about. What is the love of the disciples? What does the love of the Christians here on campus look like? Does it look like you're just pretending to love others, or are you really loving them? Because when you think about how you have to get out of yourself if you really love someone, you're willing to do anything for them, right? It requires sacrifice. It requires time. It requires effort. It requires getting in there and helping each other with the junk that's going on. And not just the Christians. He's talking about inviting people into your home. So he's talking about spreading that beyond. It's getting to, talking to people. It's not hard to make friends on campus. Most of us have friends that aren't in this room on campus, I'm sure, right? But the longer you stay friends with them, you get to know them, you get to understand their struggles and understand what they're going through. And really getting in there with them makes a huge, huge difference. And then he starts talking other things. He says, what is it here? Stand on the side of good. Hate what is wrong. Never be lazy. Be patient in trouble. Always be prayerful. It's like when God's children are in need, be the one to help them out. These are like really kind of heroic sayings, aren't they? It's like, stand on the side of good. Hate what is evil.
Yeah.
No, go use your heat ray vision, whatever. So, you get this feeling like this is what Paul's really gearing people up for. He's trying to get them to getting the disciples to start drawing some lines, start drawing out their borders. Okay, these are my gifts. Okay, these are the people I want to help. These are the people. This is the way I want to help them. And then you create this path, and you just go through it, and you start helping more and more and more and more people, and you start getting other disciples involved. You start helping more and more people, and before you know it, man, you guys have a serious campus group here. That's the whole point, right? You're finding people to save. You're finding people that have got serious issues. You're trying to show them God's mercy, God's love, and the farther they are, and based on what Paul says here, the farther they are down this line, being saved, it's like this is how much more they're willing to help. People here feel like they've been saved from a lot. There's the one scripture, I wrote it down, I'm sorry, it's in Luke, I think it's like Luke 9 something, I apologize, apparently I lost when I was doing my editing, I must have accidentally did it. But there's a scripture that says, those who have been forgiven little love little, those who have been forgiven much love much. If we feel like we've been forgiven this much, why just reach out to the people here that you're really good friends with? You can still make friends with people all the way down here. You can people who disagree with you. But as they start to see your relationships, they see the way that you're making a difference, they start to go, man, I want to do that. I kind of want to do that too. And they start slowly moving down the line. I actually have a story here. Well, actually, I'll get to that here in just a second. Sorry. Lost my place here. those things that's really good to always use and always to think about, because as you're trying to reach out to people, I mean, a lot of times we really get into this kind of robotic mode. Come to church, come to church, come to church, come to church. You know,
That's
more
true.
Like a robot than a superhero. But as you're reaching out again, like I said before, if you start showing people that you really care and they really feel that, they will respond a lot better. That's one thing we just gotta always remember. There's sometimes a lot of us know about things that are going on even in our own ministry. Sometimes there are things that are really, people are really struggling. Maybe there's people that aren't here today because they're really struggling, and that we know about. We know some of the situations that are going on. Sometimes the best way we can help those people is to just really show them that we care. Because that's what the whole point of discipleship is. A lot of times we get on this mindset of, okay, I gotta reach out to people, but we forget that it's about relationships. It's about building relationships with each other. It's about bringing our relationships to God and growing our relationships together with God.
Yeah. Come on.
Because that's the ultimate glue that holds everybody together anyway. Jesus would stop a whole parade of people to focus on one leper, and it says that he helped them out of compassion. He had deep compassion for the man, and that's the way we got to be too. Sometimes we need to, even if we're on a parade doing something, we need to stop and help somebody. We need to stop and help. Either the people we're reaching out to, help the disciples that are struggling, help people that are hurting, because that's what God wants us to do. That's how we. And I know how many of us feel really bad when we help people. Yeah, you don't, right? So why don't you do it more? That's the question. Why don't we do it more? Going on, it says, if people persecute you because you're a Christian, don't curse them. Pray that God will bless them. When others are happy, be happy with them. If they're sad, share their sorrow. Live in harmony with each other. Don't try to act important, but enjoy the company of ordinary people, and don't think you know it all. Never pay back evil for evil to anyone. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you are honorable. Do your part to live in peace with everyone as much as it is possible. And here, Paul is still working his way down the line, because he starts talking about living at peace with people. And why would he say that? Well, some people weren't living at peace with other people, right? Because you're starting to work your way down to the side of people who are opposing. When I first became a disciple, I had a lot of friends that I still hung out with from high school. When I became a disciple, I thought for sure all of them were going to follow suit, because, I would be able to explain to them all these great things about Christianity and what we were doing wrong, because we were all trying to live the right life, but what did that mean? Who knows? So once I became a disciple, I tried to help a lot. Well, most of them were pretty much just trying to ignore me or not really listen to me, and my best friend actually was one of my harshest opponents. He was one of the people who would, I remember for years I would reach out to the guy. Whenever I'd be around him, I started talking about the ministry. That's because I was in the team ministry on campus. So I talked about the team ministry. I talked about the campus ministry. I talked about the things I was learning. I talked about the ways I was sharing out, the different conferences I went to. And he got really mad. Like, there was one time after Josh became a disciple, we went to go, Josh was he plays the bass guitar, and so he was playing with them. And Josh and I were reaching out to one of his guitar players, my best friend's guitar player. And I remember on the way home, I got a phone call, and I picked it up. And he just totally curses me out on the phone, tells me, don't you ever come out here and do that again. What are you doing? And then, he's like, why can't things go back to the way they were? And I'm like, go back to what? I want to go back to, smoking weed and going out and, trying to pick up girls at the mall, just go get drunk, whatever. I mean, yeah, let's go back to that, right? So it's one of those things that he didn't get it. And there was actually a time a few years ago where he actually got put under house arrest. He went out and got drunk for his birthday, got arrested, kind of woke up a couple days later, and he was, shackled to some kind of tub thing, because they had to wash him off and stuff, because they had maced him and he was bleeding and stuff. And so he wakes up and he's in prison basically, and that's a really good place to wake up. And so he gets put under house arrest because he loses his job, he loses his girlfriend, he has a son, and he wasn't able to visit his son. All these things were going on. He was confined basically to this really little apartment. He was kind of really stuck in his room. He couldn't leave unless he got permission from the police. And there was a good stretch of time there when he would call me, and he'd be in tears. I couldn't understand what he was saying. I thought his family got killed by a serial killer or something. I'm like, What? Like 2 o'clock in the morning, I get a call. So I go over to his house and hang out with him, and I just sit and listen to him. I mean, I didn't know what else to do. I mean, every time I tried to share the Bible with the guy, all he would do is yell at me. So I'm just sitting there listening. Yeah, terrible. Such be you. Yeah, really bad. And then one day he asked me to pray for him, and I was like, whoa. I was like, let's pray right now. Like, what do we got? Why should I pray for you when I get home? Let's just do it right now. So we did. And I remember the next Sunday I brought him. He actually got me a security job somewhere where he worked overnights. And that Sunday I'd gotten a CD of Steve Cannon produced a message, and I gave it to him. And he said that he listened to it like 11 times straight through. My best friend did. And he wanted to meet Steve, and so Steve got together with him, and he started studying the Bible. And he's like, he didn't end up becoming a Christian. But I tell you what, from him going from here to here was a huge improvement. And it's one of those things that now, if I start sharing my faith with him, I start talking about things going on, he actually listens. He actually comments on things. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, tell me more about this. Tell me more about that. And so it's one of those things that, he's not here in the blue, but man, he's much closer here in the yellow than he was over here in the red. Because he was like, I don't know how you can call it somebody start cussing out because you're starting to share God with you. But that's the way that it was. So what I'm trying to say is, don't give up on some people. Sometimes it takes years.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes we'll be working with our families forever. Sometimes we'll be taking, my stepfather, have we come out to church how many years? About 10 years. He just got baptized a few months ago. Don't give up. Don't give up on people. Just when you leave campus here, don't give up on people. Just because it's like, oh, well, another year's gone, I guess all people I was reaching out to, well, that board's clean. Let's start over. No, keep those names on that list because those are the people that you're going to keep building with, even after you get off of campus. Moving on, he says, here's where Paul starts actually addressing villains. And I love it. It's very interesting the way he starts it off. He says, dear friends, never avenge yourselves. Leave that to God, for it is written, I will take vengeance. I will repay those who deserve it, says the Lord. Instead, do what the scriptures say. If your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they're thirsty, give them something to drink. And if they will be ashamed, and then they will be ashamed of what they've done to you. And then I love the last line. Don't let evil get the best of you, but conquer evil by doing good. I mean, that's like the superhero model. Everybody should have it written on the wall at home. I mean, that's just awesome. But, well, I guess if you're a comic geek like me, you could support that as well. But he starts out here, and I think he starts out, don't avenge yourselves, okay? It's like, because that was probably people's tendency, like it is today, right? Somebody cuts you off in traffic, you go and yell at them. Somebody goes over, kicks your dog. What do you want to do? You go kick their dog too, right? Or whatever. If someone calls you yells at you, you want to yell back, right? You want to, it's natural for us to want to do that. It's in our human nature, but God calls us to set that aside. And he tells us, it's like, hey, look, pray for your enemies. I mean, when's the last time you actually prayed for an enemy specifically? We have enemies. You've got enemies here on campus, okay? You've got enemies. And we talked about last time I was here. Satan is definitely your arch nemesis. He is the super villain. But the people who are on this side, who really try to shut you down, I mean, you really pray for them? That's hard to do. And I think even Paul said that even back then it was really hard to do. I mean, they were getting put to death, okay? That's a little more serious than what we're going through. We're like enemies. Oh, he called me a name. He's my villain. But really, I mean, do you take the time to actually pray for them and say, hey, look, God, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because hopefully one day he'll see it and he'll start moving down this line. Yeah. Because it happens. It happened to my best friend. So again, our job as spiritual superheroes is to live a life of sacrifice. And really, that's what he's calling us to. We have to be willing to sacrifice our lives for every single person on this spectrum. And that's hard to do. That's the reason why in Luke 14, Jesus says, you got to count the cost to be a disciple. Because there is a cost. There is a sacrifice. And it may be your time. You may put a lot of time into some people that really aren't appreciative right now. Maybe they won't become disciples in your lifetime. Maybe you'll die and you'll say, man, that person really loved God. Maybe I should learn more about God. You don't know. So you can't give up. You have to constantly live a life of sacrifice. And so, point 3, what's the point? The spiritual superhero thing is really cool. I'm all about it. We have a conference coming up next month. It's spiritual superheroes, basically, for the teen ministry at our church down in Indianapolis. By the way, you're all welcome to come. Come on down. You may have to edit this part out if Mike said that's not possible. Okay. do more of those, sure. But it's one of those things that, look, there's pain and there's suffering going on all around us every day. We're so desensitized to it sometimes because we're able just to turn it off. We can go in our rooms, we can turn on our computers, and we can go and play video games, and we can go out to places and totally and get, our studies so much that we forget and we block it out. But it's still going on around us, no matter how much we hide. If you really want to make a difference on this campus and do something that's great and do something that's worthy of remembrance, if you want to do something that changes the way this ministry runs forever, that grows this thing bigger than it's ever been before, hundreds of people, whatever, you have to make a plan. And that's really what these 4 lessons have been about. Choosing to be chosen. Look, sometimes you got to be the one to stand up. No one else is going to do it. And you've got to be the one to stand up and do it. What are you debating on? What are you waiting for? Get the plan together and do it. The second message was reaching out and touching someone. Looking at the people you want to help. Get a list. Write down a prayer list. Write down, if you want to join a campus group and change that thing around, then do that. Whatever you want to do, I'm not going to give you limitations. Write down. Get a plan together. Talk it over at Cycle. Ask them how you can make a difference there. What would they recommend there? And but don't be shy to the needs of the people that you're trying to help, because that's what your life is called to do, is to be as a sacrifice for them, to God. And then the third lesson, we talked about Satan being the ultimate supervillain. You will have opposition. One of the things I love about the end of Batman Begins, I didn't take the clip, or I should have. Right. Is that the very, very end, he's talking to Commissioner Gordon, or Lieutenant Gordon, up on top of the rooftop, and he says, Gordon asks Batman, he's like, so what about the escalation? He's like, escalation, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, we buy armor, they buy armor-piercing rounds. We buy this, they top us with that. He's like, and now you're going off rooftops, and doing all this stuff, being a superhero. It's like, and then he shows him the Joker card, right? Because the Joker is Batman's arch nemesis, right? Because now Satan's going to up the ante. And really, you got to imagine that if you're going to step that far out, and you want to be the superhero here, you got to believe that Satan's got a supervillain waiting for you on the other end of the spectrum. And you will face the opposition, but how you deal with it is how you conquered that. I mean, that's the game. That really is where the battle lies, is in trying to overcome evil. I mean, the last line there, what does it say? Don't let evil get the best of you, but conquer evil by doing good. That's how you win. But then this message here, you've got this is a great blueprint of just things to remember when dealing with all these people, because you're going to have to deal with Christians, you're going to deal with non-Christians, you're going to deal with people who like you, you're going to deal with people with non-Christians who don't like you, and you're going to deal with the people who hate you and want to destroy you. You're going to deal with the whole spectrum, and the bigger difference you want to have, the more people you're going to start affecting on the farther end of the spectrum too. That ultimately is the whole point of all these messages. I hope they've been entertaining to you guys. I hope that it's been useful. I hope that it impacts you guys. I hope that it gets you guys to think about these things, and so you can actually, so maybe in the next couple of years we will have a campus ministry here of 100 people. And what's interesting now, when you think about it, you guys currently at the moment don't have a paid staff couple working up here. I mean, you've got Amber. Rock on, Amber. Come on, yeah. With all of your time and money and everything. But it's one of those things that you don't have that support structure. But that doesn't mean that God can't work through you to do something great. Look at the Bible. Look at Gideon. Look at all these other things where there wasn't anybody, right? And even Gideon's like, okay, look, our family's the worst in the whole clan. I'm the worst in my family. What are you talking to me for? But God says, you know what? I'm going to use you because that's going to show my glory so much more. And that can be what's going to be going on right now. You guys don't have this paid couple staff here. It shouldn't stop you guys from doing awesome things. You guys can still do it without it. I've never been on staff. I've never been paid by the church. All I do is